there's obviously a need for these blockbuster titles that follow that safe route, and I'm fine with the industry going that direction. But I love the fact that at least at id and working with ZeniMax, those guys still do appreciate being innovative.
I mean, one of the best things going on right now, in addition to the games that we love, like, I mean, Red Dead Redemption, I assume, was very expensive, and it's beautiful, and, you know, BioShock had amazing art direction, and it's beautiful, and it's a big game on a big platform. But you can find all these games like Monaco, the stealth game on the indie side. You know, Braid came out a couple of years ago, and it was amazingly innovative. Spider on the iPhone, made by some guys I know, a couple of years ago, was really interesting and innovative. From Dust just came out, and it's downloadable only, I think, and so there's a lot of, like, what I would like about the industry right now is these giant bunkers of people working on huge things like, I don't know, Left 4 Dead or whatever, but then there are also like little garage band groups, you know, 3 people get together in college and they work on a game, and Super Meat Boy comes out or whatever. So I think this is a great time period for games in particular, because there's not only AAA games and indie games, but there's mobile games and social games, and I know some people in Austin that are working on simulations for training military folks. So it's like, you know, training, educational games, serious games. I mean, it's like, it's a, I mean, I hesitate to call it a Cambrian explosion, but it's, you know, something along those lines where the games have gone in many different directions in the last decade.
Could probably take 2 more.
Yeah, I already heard Matt's opinions on this topic, but I want to hear what you guys all think about peer-to-peer today, file sharing between people, legal or not, and what those communities do for the industry, even if they do drain some money.
Well, you know, it's a hard question, because I think based on my age, my view has changed about that. So I think at the beginning, I would have said, well, you know, some level of peer-to-peer is kind of cool, because it makes, you know, it propagates your game, and then like some people would never even play your game anyway, and then they get to play it and talk about it to their friends, and then their friends might buy it, and or eventually you might like it so much that you want to buy it yourself, etc. As of today, I don't do that at all anymore. I'm just like, it's so convenient to just like go on PSN or and just like download something and pay for it, and that's it. Or, you know, on the iPhone, it's just like, bam, I get it. And that I really wish like the industry entirely moves this way, and this way we can like get rid of the peer-to-peer at this point.
I have an interesting perspective, because if it wasn't for Piracy, I wouldn't be in the games industry. I used to work for kind of a shitty edutainment PC company, and on the side I would mod PS3 or PS1s, and we at work would collect games and rent them and burn them, and the advantage to that really was that I got to play every game that came out. There was no possible way I was going to spend, you know, $40 on Blasto or something like that. I didn't do it widespread. I don't want you guys like getting me arrested or anything, but it did enable me to see what everyone was doing. You know, we were seeing a lot of different games, and I think one of the reasons I'm at Insomniac is because I had played Disruptor and was like, yeah, okay, that's kind of cool, whatever. And then I played Spyro the Dragon, which was such a simple game, kind of a kidsy game and everything, but it had the advantage of, one, being the only game my girlfriend at the time asked me to play so she could watch it. And the other is, it was technically an amazing game at the time, like at a time when a lot of 3D engines on platformers were super weak, where you had to make jumps that were kind of leaps of faith. Spyro had this awesome, amazing graphic quality to it. And I tried to get a job there and failed utterly. And then through this super weird, circuitous route, started working for Mark Cerny, who worked with Insomniac. And then we started a company, a development company that our project got canceled. And Ted Price walked in and was like, hey, you want to come work at Insomniac? So, that all started with Piracy, and I got to be honest about it. Like, there's a weird part of me that's kind of like, I like being able to test things, and that's why I like shareware, and that's why I like PSN demos and all these things, because I feel like if you don't put out a demo, you're basically hiding something. I think everybody should be able to kind of play, get a basic experience, and say, you know what, that's worth the money. I'm gonna put it in. So.
Okay, go ahead.
One of the things that when we talk about games that I've noticed here is that we talk a lot about rules and systems, gameplay. isolated set pieces. You mentioned Ted being inspired by the insects attacking in Starship Troopers.
Right.
But when we talk about other forms of entertainment, like TV, movies, books, that sort of thing, we think of them more as stories, and we remember characters. And for me, it's been very encouraging to see that start to happen more often in video games. And I was wondering if each of you could pick a game where it's not so much the gameplay that you remember and it was meaningful to you, but the kind of story or character that you would have otherwise gotten from a movie or book that was meaningful.
Well, it's easy for me. I think Uncharted 2.
I would have to mention the British guy in Portal 2. It's like the... It's too fun. It's cool.
And for me, I mentioned already, Half-Life is huge. Story and the way they connected it all together, and just the immersion, and because it's more of just it's more about dialogue and or what you read or what it's the whole experience. And Zelda: Ocarina of Time, that game's probably number 1 or 2, but it's kind of weird, right? Because again, it's kind of kidsy, and but the little. There's so many things in that game that just resonated with me. I just thought it was super cool, and even though it's kind of strange and told in a different way, I think Final Fantasy VII. I know a lot of people like that game, but I really dug the story. I liked it from start to finish. I didn't care that some of the translation was kind of butchered and it was weird. I liked the characters. I got into that. So it comes from all over.
Yeah.
At first I had trouble coming up with an answer. You know, like I thought so many things that were tied to mechanics, like an emotional moment in XCOM related to a character, but it was so tied to mechanics. But then the dominant answer occurred in my mind, and I had to fight the urge to weep. It wasn't quite the end of Red Dead Redemption, but John Marston's ride home. Like, my God, I literally verified.
Yes, goosebumps.
Like, I mean, like, it was so powerful to me. I don't know if it's the Western thing or if it's how long you inhabit that character or how he seems a little clueless the whole time. God damn, what just happened? You know, he's doing that the whole time, and you're guiding him along. And it's really, really moving when he finally gets told, okay, your family's back there, you can ride home. And you're like, really? Is this how the game's going to end? And you start riding this long trail, and the music begins. It's the only piece of music with voice in it. You know, it's and I won't spoil what happens, but like to me, it was just like no, the game goes on for like 6 years after
exactly.
that. But that was for me. And by the way, if you haven't played Red Dead Redemption, and it's been out for a year and a half now, the statute of limitations at QuakeCon is probably out by then. This is a group of people who plays a lot of games, but anyway, that for me was like I don't know if it was the combination of interacting with the character, or if it's that my bar for westerns is lower, or if it actually competed with like cinema level storytelling, but it was very powerful to me.
You back there.
I've been noticing a lot of the latest video games, like Take Spring, for example. I'm sure everybody's had a chance to play it since it was free this weekend. It's getting into a lot of the aspects multiplayer-wise that you normally associate with something like a MMO, actually, where you have these large servers with maps where you're going in and playing with a lot of people and team thing, and the only thing that is different is it's not as persistent. But you've still got experience that you gain to unlock things. You have skill trees and stuff like that coming out. And my question is, do you see a point in the future where the line between normal single-player games and MMOs starts to get a little bit more blurred than it is right now?
Yeah, I kind of mentioned it earlier. I definitely think your avatar, your online persona, how many you have in Worldcraft, it's going to start to blur, and it's really not that different. It's born out of the same reason. When I played Quake 1 online TCP/IP first time, I was the bug, and when I'm on IRC and Harvey, Witch Boy, I mean, you became those characters. I almost wasn't myself. That's how I got into the industry. And I had my colors. It was green and like a kind of maroon color. That's who I was. I mean, people knew me when I logged on, as cheesy as that sounds. And now it's just we've pushed that to the limits. But I think there's a long way to go. I think you're going to see some pretty exciting things with, again, blurring that, whether you're playing single player or multiplayer. Yeah, that's one of the things I'm most looking forward to is seeing how far we can push that.
We got one more here.
Matt kind of touched on motion controller games and how really the hardcore gamers not being taken care of right now at this time. What do you think is missing from that kind of genre, or I guess really I'm talking about the game mechanic itself, that you think would improve or make it more appealing to the hardcore gamer?
You mean like a Connect game for hardcore gamers?
Yeah, but you know, Matt, I think was kind of talking in the future of where the industry is going. You know, what do you foresee, or what do you think would improve upon it?
If we knew, we probably wouldn't say it.
It's probably a great idea.
I'm just interested in it, but I have no idea where it's going. All I know is if you had a real gun, it would get too heavy after a while. There's some practical limitations of doing all this hand waving when you're playing a long game. But there's something there. There's clearly something there. But I don't know what the answer. I can tell you Carmack has set up right now in his office a Kinect, but he's using it in ways that it wasn't meant to be used. So I'm kind of curious to see what he comes up with.
Great lightsaber game.
That's all the time we have. Thank you so much for coming out, everyone. Thanks, everyone. Thank you, guys. It's fantastic.